There's something that's got a hold of me, and it won't let me go. Puppets. Now, I have to imagine you're all starting to form some pictures in your mind, maybe Sesame Street, or Sherry Lewis's Lamb Chop, or Punch and Judy. But wait, some things are not all as they seem to be. I want you to imagine this. Little Angel Puppet Theatre in London created a beautiful puppet play of Shakespeare's Venus and Adonis. And a year ago, I saw a film of this at the Victoria and Albert Museum in London. Two puppets, they were maybe this tall, exquisite puppets, beautiful puppets, not movie beautiful, I call them Renaissance painting beautiful. Because it was filmed, me, the viewer, was brought into this intimate space with these two puppets, and for an hour I was spellbound. It was exquisite, it was masterful, it was sensuously erotic. Now I want you to add to this picture that's forming, and hopefully you've seen it, Julie Taymor's stage play of Lion King. And then more recently, and again, this is the stage play, not the movie, but the play of War Horse. So this is to say that puppetry is an art form. And it's not just for children, it's for everyone. Where I'm going next is a long journey that really has brought me to here, I would say. And so I need to give you a little bit of background. I would also call this my journey to purpose. I have the great fortune of a very creative family. Both my parents were artists. We were makers of things, and I learned at a very young age how to go from an idea to a finished thing. My summers were typically spent for a number of years with my best friend, writing plays, scavenging the neighborhood for supplies, casting our friends, designing and building costumes, and the only time our parents were really a part of this picture was if we wanted to haul home a large sheet of 4x8 plywood from an abandoned house, and we needed to ask them if they thought that was okay. I came of age in the 70s. As a young mother, I made soft creatures for children, and really what those were puppets without strings. I moved on to painting and woodworking and costume design, and finally I found a job that really suited my skill set, and that was stop motion animation. And around that time I also started to teach design students. So through all this making, from childhood to adulthood, somewhere circling was this concept of creative process. But it was never concrete, and it was never specific, and I think it was just sort of attached to this idea of the creative person being born with gifts. Now, fast forward with me now. 6 years ago, I became a spellbinder, which is an oral storyteller to children. We tell stories, we don't read them. I've always loved children's literature, but learning about stories orally took me to a much deeper understanding of what a story is and what a story does. It was, I'd say, profoundly thrilling. And this is what's happening in my brain just recently. After so many years of creative work, I'm looking at this story structure, and then I'm looking at creative process, and I'm seeing this connection. So here's story structure. A character has a passion, goes and is compelled to go on a journey to realize the passion, the hero's journey. And along the way, There are obstacles, there are monsters and dragons, and if they're lucky, there's a wise wizard. So it's a journey of peril and triumph until finally, compelled by that desire, the character reaches their goal. And then here's creative process. The artist, but pause just a minute because I want to add to this creative artist person the idea of the philanthropist, the scientist, the mathematician, the teacher, the entrepreneur, the physicist, the engineer. You have a passionate desire and you go on a journey, and it's fraught with problems and triumphs and more problems and problems to solve. But through all of this, your passion, your desire compels you through to the realization. No struggle in the vineyard, no intensity in the bottle. When I saw the creative process mirroring story structure, I saw creativity through fresh eyes. We all know story structure because it is our oldest art. And if we know story structure, whether we know it or not, we know the creative process because they mirror one another. Every now and then, and I would say now, it needs to be pulled out, dusted off, and looked at closely. And story structure is significant because creative work doesn't happen effectively or even completely without a structure. Without a structure, it is too big. It's overwhelming. It often doesn't get done. So ask yourself, do you have a passion that drives you to a goal? Do you have setbacks, problems to solve, naysayers, hopefully some mentors? And do you continue through trial and triumph till you realize your goal? So if you recognize this path, then you are doing creative work. If you get derailed part of the way, you're just not done. And as Sunny says in The Best Exotic Marigold Hotel, everything will work out right in the end. And if it isn't working out, it isn't the end yet. Figuring out problems builds mighty creative muscle. And it's this muscle, this creative muscle, that we need to navigate our present and future challenges and dreams. We have gifts. We all have gifts. And then it's hard play or fun work, depending on how you see it. I said puppetry won't leave me alone, and I also said that some things are not as they appear. So imagine a sculptor sees a block of marble, and he or she sees a figure in the marble. A different kind of creative person sees a school in an abandoned building. Wait a few years, and you'll see it too. I usually take a puppet with me now when I tell stories to children. I tell the story first so that the children create their own pictures in their own wonderful minds. When I take the puppet out, the children come up out of their seats and they encircle me. Their hands are practically vibrating and they want to touch the puppet. And often they say, "Can we make a puppet play with you?" I think anything that draws children out of their seats, we need to pay attention to. So if you spend time with children, tell them stories, and then involve them in making with their hands the images that they have in their minds. We spend a lot of time in virtual worlds these days, but we're still these sensory earth creatures. It's my passionate belief that at least in the early years, hand building creates important neural pathways. The goal is not to create a nation of puppeteers, although I actually like that idea. The goal is to know that we have imaginations, we can use them creatively to explore and invent, and we need to recognize when we do. Because when the creative process aligns with a timeless form like story structure, we are syncing with the human journey. Thank you. Now go play.